Welcome back. Today, we're digging into some really fundamental shifts happening in artificial intelligence. We're talking about how we build it, how we talk to it, and, how it's starting to change our world in ways we're really just beginning to wrap our heads around.
All right, let's jump right in with a new term you're going to hear a lot more of: vibe coding. Seriously, forget staring at lines of complex code. This is all about building software by just talking to it, using plain English to have a conversation with AI tools that then do the heavy lifting. I mean, this is a huge paradigm shift.
And this is what really shows you the change. Traditionally, you had all these different ways to talk to a computer, right? You had your graphical interfaces, your command lines, your APIs. They were all separate. Vibe coding just flattens all of that into one single conversational surface. It's this idea of interface flattening.
So this is all super powerful, but it brings up a really critical question. If we're just relying on an AI's vibe, its interpretation of what we want, how stable is that? Can it really handle the messy, complicated, and sometimes irrational way we humans communicate?
Well, get this. It turns out even AIs can get stressed out. Researchers found that when chatbots deal with aggressive or violent language from users, they can show signs of what they call anxiety. And their solution? Literally teaching them mindfulness techniques to soothe them. Now, this sounds wild, but think about the implications for safely using AI in things like mental health or even just customer service. It's huge.
Okay, so as these AIs get more and more human-like, the need to actually engineer trust into them becomes absolutely crucial. It's not enough for them to be smart. We have to know they're reliable, that we can understand their reasoning, and that they're secure. So let's see how that's being done.
A massive piece of this trust puzzle is dealing with hallucinations. When an AI just confidently makes stuff up. Well, there's an emerging approach called Neurosymbolic AI that could be a breakthrough. It basically combines the creativity of neural nets with old-school logic. The result? Systems that, in theory, just don't hallucinate.
And here's the other big win that comes with that. Instead of the typical AI black box, where you have no idea how it came to a decision, Neurosymbolic AI gives us auditable workings. We can actually look under the hood and follow its line of reasoning, which, for building trust, is a total game changer.
And look, this isn't just some academic thought experiment. We need this level of trust to use AI for the really important stuff, the real-world applications that affect our lives, from managing smart grids to developing new medicines.
So, to make this practical, researchers are building AI agents using this really clear three-step framework. You see it here. First, it perceives the world around it. Second, the central AI brain makes a decision. And third, it takes an action. It's simple. You can audit each step, and it just works.
But, reliability also means security. And as this quote points out, right now we're kind of stuck in this endless cat-and-mouse game of attacks and patches. The big push is to get beyond that cycle and build AI that is provably secure right from the start.
Now, when you have tools this powerful and, hopefully, this trustworthy, the impact starts spreading way beyond just the tech industry. So let's zoom out a bit and look at the broader societal ripple effect that's already happening.
Just take the news industry, for example. LLMs are creating this really strange paradox. On the one hand, they make it way cheaper to create content. But at the exact same time, the prediction is that they'll actually lower our demand for traditional news and, as a result, reduce jobs in the newsroom.
And the more personal AI gets, the more our privacy is on the line. I mean, these systems could have access to our private emails, our chats, literally our entire digital life. That's why new tools like Privacy Bench are so important. They're being built specifically to test these AIs and see how well they actually protect our secrets.
This all funnels into a much bigger, almost philosophical concern that some researchers are raising. They're worried that the race to build big AI is actually accelerating what they call a meta-crisis, basically a convergence of all our other global crises, from ecological damage to the very disruption of how we communicate and make sense of the world.
So what you have is this incredible tension at the heart of AI's future. You've got this absolute tidal wave of venture capital and innovation pushing forward at breakneck speed. And that's running headlong into these growing calls for responsible AI, for more regulation, and for a real conversation about balancing all this innovation with the societal risks.
So to wrap up, let's just take a quick lightning round look at a few dispatches from the absolute frontier. This is a little taste of where all that money and brain power is actually going. First up, in healthcare. Neuralink says it's aiming to use its brain chip to give partial sight back to people who are completely blind, and they're targeting 2026. Just incredible.
Then you have deep physics.
An AI like Alpha Tensor, which got famous for mastering games, is now being used to design better quantum circuits. It's literally optimizing the basic building blocks for the next generation of computers.
And over in biology, things are getting even more specialized. We're now seeing large language models that aren't trained on books or the internet, but on biological data. They're learning the language of our individual cells to predict how they'll react to new diseases or drugs.
And that leads directly to this, a massive acceleration in drug discovery. By understanding how a potential drug, a ligand, interacts with proteins in our bodies, AI is helping researchers find new, effective treatments faster than ever before. Which brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. We are living through this unbelievable period of acceleration. So, as big AI potentially pushes us toward this meta-crisis, what can we actually do? How do we navigate all of these massive risks to make sure these breakthroughs really do end up benefiting everyone?